obviously kind of, Sandline and Executives, very, very kind of big businesses. They did really, really well for the time they were kind of operating. It's well publicized that there was a lot of fun, made a lot of money. They did good things. So that came to an end. Now I want to talk about, obviously it's kind of, what I'm going to ask about. And the reason being, because I know, and I will not mention any names. Sadly, one of them's passed away now, but they were part of the coup in kind of Equatorial Guinea. So they kind of, and I'll talk to you off air and you'll probably know the names of the two gentlemen that I'm going to say, but how did that come about? I mean, and obviously there is I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know the legal stuff, but there was obviously an involvement from Mark Thatcher as well, wasn't there, allegedly?
Yeah. I mean, that all came about, that was 2003. I was recruited by a guy called Eli Khalil, who's dead now. That was to overthrow the government of Equatorial Guinea, which went horribly wrong. I got arrested in Harare, 4 years in prison in Harare, and then I was kidnapped from there and smuggled to Equatorial Guinea, where I did another 18 months in prison there.
Was that the Black Beach prison?
Yeah, Black Beach.
Yeah, that I've read a little bit about that, and I mean, how did it go wrong? Do you think you were kind of stabbed in the back potentially, or?
Yeah, I mean, we were really pushing it. We knew we'd been compromised, but we felt we had enough backing from enough agencies and what have you that we could just sort of keep going, basically, and we'd get there. And in a way, Angola and Sierra Leone, we'd been so successful by just being ballsy and quick and getting on with it. I mean, I just thought, well, okay, we've got bags of backing. We'll just keep going. We'll make it. We didn't. Big mistake.
But what was the end goal? What was the kind of the reasoning behind it? What was the interest in trying to overthrow the government? Because I don't know enough about it to kind of.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a long story. But I mean, basically, the government of Equatorial Guinea is pretty tyrannical. It's not at all democratic. The people don't see any of the money that they've got. They've got huge amounts of oil wealth. And the plan was to try and create a sort of West African Dubai in Equatorial Guinea, which is an incredibly beautiful place. Terrible climate. I mean, it's very, very hot, but I mean, it can be done. And the idea was to make the country democratic and wealthy. That was the plan.
It kind of went a bit south, to say the least.
Well, we were torpedoed. I mean, we were well and truly torpedoed. But I can tell you that President Mbeki, the president of South Africa, was entirely knowledgeable and in favor of what we were doing up until 2 hours before I was arrested. So I'm not going to tell you too much. I mean, it's a whole story. But this was not kind of a totally sort of fly-by-night, unauthorized thing. A lot of people were giving it a nod and a wink. And when it went wrong, of course, at that point, everyone dives for cover. Nothing to do with us. We don't know what they were doing. Mann's a lunatic, etc.
All kind of involvement from the off. And that's a bit like some of the operations the SAS go on, isn't it? They're kind of... And also...
Yeah, well, I was explaining to somebody the other day, overt, covert, clandestine. What does clandestine mean? We're not going to admit it. That's what it means.
Yeah. And it's like...
Always deniable.
Yeah, and that must be frustrating because, like, knowing that what you know and having the backing from these people and then them to turn around and deny everything must be massive on that scale. And then you were sentenced to 34 years in prison, I believe. Is that right?
I was sentenced to 34 years. Yeah, that was in Equatorial Guinea. That was when they tried me again. And that's quite a story in itself. They actually said, well, look, you've been very helpful to us in your interrogation, which I had been because I wanted to get out. I wanted to get home. I mean, I thought I was going to die. So, well, how am I going to be helpful to you in the trial? And they said, well, we want you to plead guilty. So I said, okay, well, what do you want me to plead guilty to? They said, well, attempted murder, attempted assassination of a head of state, and acts of international terrorism. I said, you got me to plead guilty to that. Yep. Jesus.
Yeah, that's not something. I bet the alarm bells started ringing there a bit, thinking, well, yeah.
Little bit. Obviously, I plead guilty to this. You can take me straight outside and shoot me.
They had the death penalty, didn't they? Because I think that was part of the worry, wasn't it? That maybe we're going to get the death penalty. And admitting to that, you probably would have been looking at it, right?
I thought I was, well, I did plead guilty, but I thought they would just shoot me when I got there, actually, to Equatorial Guinea. I thought they were just going to shoot me on arrival. But it was all okay, and I got a pardon. And now I'm a friend of the president. Can you believe that? He's still the president, and I go and see him.
Wow.
Pretty weird.
It's an unlikely friendship.
It's like Stockholm syndrome in reverse.